exhaust manifold gasket. Done with it. We're fixing it. I'm over it. All right, let me first start out by saying what a fiasco it was to get the parts needed to reseal my exhaust manifold gasket up. So I went to O'Reilly's and they gave me gaskets for a 360. I'm like, no, it's literally a V10. I had to order these gaskets twice through them. So anyone that's doing this job, I would put the part numbers in here. So Velcro exhaust manifold gasket part number is right there. And then the flange from the end of the manifold into the actual exhaust pipe. New bolts for that. And the Dorman part number 03442. For some reason, they legit could not figure out the part number for the exhaust manifold bolts that go into the cylinder head. So I took this one out and I brought it to them. So that being said, I went to my local Home Depot and I got a new bolt to put in there just for the time being, just snug it up lightly. Here's that bolt, just with like a normal washer. Like, this isn't permanent, just a temporary fix. And wanna know what happens? It snapped off in the head. I should have known. I shouldn't have done this. I should have just left it and just drove around like that. This is just a grade 5 bolt. I had about 6 or so threads in. It was threading in just fine with no issues at all. And I'm assuming when I put the bolt in the manifold hole right there, I must have caught a piece of rust or something from when I took out that old bolt and it got in a thread and it started threading in the cylinder head and probably tightened up the bolt a little bit. I mean, I was threading on nicely, nice and slow, and all of a sudden it gets a little tighter and I'm not putting much pressure on it. It just goes chink and it snaps. But all that just to find out that Dorman doesn't even make a bolt kit for these trucks. I had to order 3 of these kits, very expensive, and what this kit comes with is 4 of the bolts I need, matches up perfectly to the original, and it comes with these studs that I don't need at all. So I had to buy 3 of these kits to get 12 of these bolts, which I'll have 2 extras, whatever. Here is the Dorman part number for these kits. It is 32129. So I got my manifold gaskets, I guess my manifold bolts, and then the exhaust manifold flange bolts. Since I snapped that bolt in there, I should be able to get it out with some vice grips because it's not always sunk into the cylinder head, but I went and grabbed a tap too to clean up any threads and make sure everything's nice and clean once I get that broken bolt out. So these bolts down here, they're going to be a challenge getting these things off. They are very rusty. To break these things free, I'm just going to go as lightly as I possibly can and just take my time and try not to snap any of the bolts and get them all loose and out. Take the intake off, get more access. An update, guys, the valve cover gaskets, they're great. All sealed back up and there's no more smoke. It's burned off all the oil off the manifold, so I'm happy about that. But let's get into this. So these are actually 1/2-inch bolts, and what I did to get this one out, I took a 12mm with a 6-point and kind of hammered it on there and just kind of worked it slowly back and forth. So let's see if we can break some of these free. If this fender was out of the way, I could legit smash this thing on, it'll be fine. Yeah, on this one. Alright, that makes me happy. That didn't even break. I gotta get a bolt extractor. Alright, so I just got back from Home Depot and I picked up this kit from Irwin here. It's supposed to be a bolt extractor. They taper in as you go deeper into the socket. It looks like when you want to loosen it, it really just bites into the bolt there. So I'm gonna try it with the 7/16 to 11 millimeter and then the 1/2 inch one to see if that'll work. But the first 4 cylinders we still have to do with the lower bolt, so I'm gonna heat up the actual exhaust manifold just right here and get it nice and hot, and then just try to back the bolt out. Looks like it's the old gasket that was burning back there. It does need to get hotter than what I just had it, so I'll put it on there for a little bit longer, but I got a hose ready with water. This bolt was really rounded off. I'm pretty impressed with that. Alright, the extractor does not seem like it can get a good bite on these 3 because they're just... I don't have the right size extractor. Now I'm gonna put this 12 millimeter on and really heat this thing up and see if I can get it off. See, I don't know if that's gonna fight enough. 12 millimeter, 12 point. Yeah, see, it just wants to spin. 7/16. No, that's just way too small. Got 3 left. I really need to figure that out. This one's definitely pretty loose. I bet if I can get some sort of socket on it and really heat that up. 12 literally just spins. This extractor is just a hair too small, and then I go to the next size up, and it's like, it's just it like grabs, but it's just like a hair too big. Alright, I got a vice grip clamped as tight as I can on this guy. I'm gonna heat that thing up hardcore. Get this plug wire out of the way so I don't burn that. Just wants to spin off. Come on. I was just playing around with this, shaking it back and forth, and I got it to break free. Good news for me. Bad news, it wasn't on camera. Got 2 left. I'm gonna do the exact same thing, and fingers crossed that I get the exact same result. Look how rounded and just blown out this thing is. If I could smash this thing on there. Oh yeah. Alright, I'm heating that thing up. Please come off. Oh no, I snapped this one. That's not good. Oh buddy, look at all that rust. That's not good. Last one I gotta do. Please don't snap like that one. Alright, that's a 7/16 6 point. Oh no, I just did it to this one too. That one's even worse. So I got this bolt still in here, and then the 2 on the back cylinder still in there, kind of threaded in. Way down there past those 2 exhaust manifold bolts, you'll see another bolt head. That's where the actual exhaust pipe hooks up to the exhaust manifold, and I gotta break that free. I don't care if I snap those exhaust flange bolts. That's not a big deal. It's not a big deal like how I just snapped 2 of the bolts inside of the cylinder head. I'm gonna have to figure that out. They're gonna have to be drilled out or something, but let's work on those exhaust flange bolts. Look how rusty that flange bolt was. It's literally half the size right there. All we got left to do is take this bolt out of the manifold and the 2 out back there that are loose. So besides the broken studs in there, which there are 3, that is the only thing besides the gasket holding this thing on. So let's see if we can get this thing off here. This is the front cylinder. This one was leaking. These were all sealed up nicely. You can see there's no soot or anything on any of these, but you can see some burnt soot right here and some right here as well. Looks to me that the old gasket was like literally disintegrated or something. So whatever's left, I'm gonna have to clean up the best I can. And the manifold itself looks great. That is definitely why that was leaking. It is like just gone. Pretty happy with this. There was a lot of buildup and corrosion and rust spots, but on every single one of them you can still see the partially, I'd say a good 80% to 90% of the machine surface that was done from the factory. So the new gasket should be able to seal all these right up nicely. This is the one that was leaking. I mean, it is the most jacked up looking one, but the gasket should be able to seal that back up. I've got my fingers crossed on that. Oh, I even kind of cleaned up the flange a little bit too. So the manifold's all set, ready to go. Alright guys, I've been letting these 3 bolts soak in fluid film for well over a day now. I'm now gonna attempt to drill these things out and get them out of there. I went to Harbor Freight and I saw these Icon screw extractors. So what you do is you drill a hole into the bolt, and this cone goes, you can see it's spiral, this cone goes into the bolt itself, and when you try to loosen it, the spirals like bite into the hole you just drilled and extract the bolt. I don't know much about these, but that Irwin bolt extractor thing that I had to get the bolts out first, that thing was kind of useless, honestly. The sizes weren't right, so I returned that kit and I went to Harbor Freight and got these Icon things. So I guess we'll try these things out, but on this it says drill to 730 seconds, and that's what this bit is right here. And the bolts in the manifold are 5/16, so there should be enough meat on that to grab it, but let's see what I can do here. I'm gonna grab an even smaller drill bit to see if I can even get something started. One of my smallest drill bits I have, it's like a 5/64. This thing is puny. Hopefully I can get something started with this thing. That's enough to get that 1/8 inch in there. Alright. Attempting to step this thing up to 1/8 inch. Ah, no. That's what I was afraid of. I just stamped the end of the drill bit in that hole. There's no way I'm gonna be able to grab that thing. Not good. Oh. I want this one to turn. This is the one I snapped off as my temporary bolt. This thing was barely even in there. That thing's out. There we go. She's out, boys. Now it's just this ordeal. I'm gonna try to think outside the box here. I got my broken 1/8 inch bit back on this. I'm gonna put it on reverse thread and just hammer down and see if I can clear that broken piece out of there. Yes! I want to drill more of that out so I can get a bigger extractor in there so I can have as much grip as I possibly can. I mean, look at this. How the hell am I supposed to get this thing in here? This is the 730 seconds. So Icon does have the 1/8 inch extractor, so that would work, but I just feel like this 1/8 inch extractor is going to snap off inside the hole, so I want to get the hole a little bit bigger. Are you serious? The Icon extractor just snapped off in that freaking bolt. It's just so frustrating. It started moving. I thought that would have been thick enough. 3/16 Icon drill extractor snapped. I'm gonna attempt to drill out this screw extractor. No, just snap that bit. There's another drill bit. Alright guys, I absolutely cannot drill it out. That extractor I snapped in there is just too hard to drill. The drill bits won't do anything. I keep snapping them. A few of my friends have mobile welding services, so I'm going to call one of them and I'm going to have him weld a nut to that. Alright guys, look at that. She's out. He said he had to weld the this nut and washer to it 8 separate times to the stud to back it out. You can kind of see how like the threads are open right there. That's actually from the drill. So what he was thinking is the screw extractor probably was biting into the cylinder head, and that's what kind of jammed everything up and stopped it. He did send me a video of him backing it out, so I'll put that video into this video here. Pumped about that. I'm gonna run a tap through all the bolt holes, and we're gonna start putting this thing back together. I don't have my tap hold down with me, so I'm just gonna use one of the extra bolts I have. Just make sure there's no hard spots or anything. Like this one's going in nice. They all went in nicely with no issues at all, except this one. This was my temporary fix that I wish I never did. So I'm gonna have to manually thin that tap through that hole right there to clean the threads up. I got some makeshift thing to hopefully hold this tap in the socket here. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a lot of rust buildup in the cleanouts of this tap right here. See, that just fell out there. That is why that Home Depot bolt snapped. I want to get all the bolts started in this thing. Alright guys, I got all the manifold bolts snugged up. I gotta get that flange on. The video is gonna be absolutely terrible, so I will just show you the final product. The manifold exhaust flange is back on. I'm gonna give these a decent snug, I guess. I'm gonna start from the front, work my way back. I'm gonna put the vacuum pump air line back on and kind of float the air intake back on and just kind of hook everything back up loosely and start the truck. But I mean, the whole exhaust system is buttoned up, and fingers crossed that we're sealed up. So I'm gonna throw this thing back together real quick. leaking from this front cylinder, guys. Right from the bottom, it's not from the top anymore. Why? I'll catch you guys in the morning. I'm done for the night. So everything I did last night in the dark is being undone and coming apart. Well, I just had the truck running and I put my hand down underneath the manifold right here on the first cylinder where that broken bolt was. I felt the exhaust blowing onto my hand here, so it's definitely leaking from the bottom there. So I'm going to pull the manifold back off. So I'll put you guys on a time lapse and just hammer right through this. See where the gasket did not seal up. Exhaust was right where that orange stuff is, that was escaping. And this back one actually was too. I'm actually pretty happy I took this off. You see that orange on the top and bottom? That was leaking there too. That's exhaust gas was passing through. And that one too. And wow, look at this. Wow, look at the back. The gasket wasn't even on there that well. Huh. That explains it. That's why this thing was leaking. I had this thing literally upside down, and you can see that there's a gap right there between the gasket. It was not sitting properly at all. Like, look at that. That's why that was leaking. I'm gonna get that other gasket. Maybe I'll just use that one instead, because this one might be a little bit compromised. Here's the new gasket. Well, the other side, I just want to make sure. Yeah, see, this is the same. I'm going to bolt this thing back on with the gasket going the correct way and see what happens. So I want to know in the comments who caught me putting that gasket on upside down. And if you did see that, comment down below or something to make fun of me, because that was ridiculous. I should have caught that. I got all the bolts snugged up nicely. Exhaust manifold flange is bolted on. Let's get the intake back on, do another test run. A moment of truth. She is sealed back up. I am so happy right now, guys. Wow. This has been an ongoing thing for years with that exhaust manifold. Well, you guys know what's left to do. Let's take this old girl for a drive. You guys hear that? Neither do I. So I'm gonna end this video here. My exhaust leak is fixed. Truck sounds much better. No more ticking in the cab. So I'm very happy about that. The truck it runs better, obviously. It's definitely was not good to have leaky valve covers and leaking exhaust manifold gasket, because that is just a recipe for disaster. So we have another video coming down the pipeline on this truck. And it's some interior stuff that needs to get done. So if you guys are enjoying the V10 content, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below what you like to see. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.